Hey, everybody! Today we're talking about HBO's Harry Potter series as one of the most high-profile and anticipated television projects of our time, and, of course, as has become the norm in recent years, this kind of endeavor does not without huge scandals. So, HBO and Warner Brothers have already demonstrated that they're top-notch at shifting on the fly when it came to John Rowling, to J.K. Rowling and their vested interests. The role of Hermione is now up for grabs thanks to updated casting guidelines. A 2-year-old man is no joke. Well, viewers around the world are furious about the selection of fan favorite Harry Potter character Professor Severus Snape, played brilliantly, played by the sadly departed Alan Rickman, a dark-skinned actor named Papa Asiada, saying that at this rate, the writers of the new Harry Potter was simply the favorite story of our childhood. Is it really true? Who's already been cast as Dumbledore and more? When filming begins, all this and much we're gonna talk about right now. So subscribe, who hasn't already, have done it. Let's go. Let's get started. Well, you're probably are well aware of the fact that the company, B Discovery and their HBO division, are currently in the midst of producing a new Harry Potter series, a series that Web Discovery is planning to make into the new classic that was once the movie series which will span a decade and which that would tell from scratch the story of the boy wizard and all that goes with him, and everything that goes with it. Yes, since this adaptation is not being made 20 years ago, as the movies are now, the problems it faces are very definite and specific to our time. Of perhaps the most scandalous news of recent days related to Harry Potter is a report by the respected Hollywood Reporter that in the pursuit of an inclusive cast, the role of the professor has now been cast like actor Papa Edu. Of course, this news has already caused quite a stir of emotion. Let's read what exactly is being reported in the press by the British. The actor who played in the movie icon Destroy You is being considered for the role that Harry Potter fans love so much. Potter, according to the Hollywood Reporter, the actor is up for the role of Professor Severus Snape in the HBO Harry Potter series. Potter, he has already been offered the role, although there has been no final official HBO's announcement on the matter. Now, if Asidu gets the role, according to the article, it will also be an example of HBO keeping its promise that the show will have a diverse cast, because movies have sometimes been criticized for being completely dominated by white actors. It's probably going to lead to a pretty fresh look at this character and others from myself. Either way, I would add that this fresh has already caused a wave of anger amongst fans of honest Pottery, and you know why. Personally, I absolutely expected that this time cast would try to maximize, to diversify, which in general with a wise approach, it's not a threshold at all. But then again, in my humble opinion, the most key characters like the main trinity, Voldemort, Dumbledore, and just like that, Snape shouldn't have been made so radically different from what hundreds of millions of readers and viewers, simply because it's expected to cause a gigantic outrage, which is what we're already seeing it now. Either way, we're still talking about the choice of the main Troy. We'll talk more about that today. We'll talk about that later today. What about, for example, Hermione in general is a circus with horses, but in the meantime, here's what the cast of Black Severus has been told by HBO representatives that we realize that such a high-profile series will cause a lot of rumors and speculation. As we are in the pre-production phase of pre-production, we will confirm details only after the deals are finalized. I'll tell you for myself, these deals are promised to start being signed as early as next year, and in January at least to form a shortlist of the main. Although it is noteworthy that in the same official statements from HBO, their future series is described as an adaptation of the beloved Harry Potter series from author and executive producer J. J.K. Rowling. And here's a question for the real connoisseurs and fans of the theories in the somewhere in the books, was there an accurate description of Professor Snape? And if so, what it is? What is it? Tell me about it in the comments. It's very important to really compare the book with what they're doing now in HBO. Although, either way, the Black Professor is not yet the most curious thing about the casting of for the lead role, because as they say now in the press during the casting call open in September for the lead role of the main Trinity, although not only 32,000 children have applied for the lead role of the main Trinity itself. Let me remind you that this time there are no requirements for their appearance. There are no requirements at all. That is, there could be absolutely anyone, and apparently some people took it and literally. So according to the Britain's Daily Mail, a 40-year-old, a 2-year-old man tried to get the part, Hermione. In a recent audition, the truth is, knocked out a failed audition for the role of Miss Granger in the new television adaptation of Harry Potter, except that judging by the wording, I don't understand. I mean, the audition itself did happen. I mean, was the dude actually was allowed to audition, or is it just difficulty of translation is still an open question. But at the same time, the article says every day a team of casting agents is tasked with reviewing 1,000 of audition tapes every day in an attempt to identify the next Harry Potter, Ron Weasley or Hermione Granger. And according to the article, the show's writer Francesca Garr, despite the rejection of a 42-year-old contender for the role of Hermione, the final decision on the roles hasn't been decided yet, so there's a chance for everyone, even those who don't seem to have. It would seem they don't. The Gardner also emphasized the difficulty of casting actors, describing the task as daunting, stating that the crew strives as closely as possible to the specified ages of characters from J.K. Rowling's original novels, which means that it's likely that virtually all of the cast members, I mean adults, will be significantly younger than the ones that we're used to from the movies. Snape, for example, would have to be a little over 30, just over 30 years old at the start of the series. But what's interesting is that the deadline gives us a list of other already pre-approved actors for key roles in the upcoming series. To make the list is Oscar winner, Academy Award winner Mark Rylance for the role as Hogwarts headmaster Dumbledore, played by the late Richard Harris and Michael Gambon. But at the same time, recently, many publications have been increasingly to report that Mark Strong, who has recently emerged as a contender for the same role, will most likely end up getting that Sharon Horgan's 50th birthday girl contract, is reportedly being considered as the top contender for the role as Vice Principal Minerva McGonagall, played in the movies by the late M.G. Smith. There have also been recent active rumors that Emmy Award winner Brad Goldstein will play the role Hogwarts Ranger Rubeus Hagrid, once brilliantly created by Robbie Coltrane as for the main children's, as well as the role of Voldemort. There is still the question, and it seems that's where the main intrigue will unfold. Well, that's because if HBO decide to pull the same trick as they did with the role of Professor Snape's role, the show will be doomed before it even starts. By the way, filming on the new adaptation is set to begin in the summer of 2025 at Warner Brothers Studios near Watford, Hertfordshire, and each novel will be transformed into a separate season as part of a 10-year. And of course, in the course of working on Warner Brothers, Discovery has already demonstrated a marvelous and changing relationship with J.K. Rowling, which has already, it's been pointed out. It's just that all of you remember how Hogwarts Reunion, for example, brought everyone but the creator of the books because of her trans conflict. The whole thing back then was linked to the J.K. Rowling, to the J.K. Rowling scandals and the fact that they both decided to distance themselves from her as much as possible. To distance themselves from her. Of course, that situation looked as nasty as possible and on the part of the movie industry, which in fact did not. Not that they didn't support Joan at the most difficult time for her, but went along with the crowd. That was a couple years ago, but since then, a lot of things have really changed since then. Like JK herself has overcome all of her boycott and problems. Well, on the other hand, got into a serious financial and decided to get out of it with the help of their good old-fashioned franchises. One of the most important of them, of course, is Harry Potter. In fact, from that moment on, we began to see the incredible metamorphosis. How the boss of the company personally flew to Juan's house for several days with his entourage. He persuaded Hermione to go for a new adaptation when suddenly the WB's rhetoric of the WB changed beyond recognition. All of a sudden, they remembered what a blessing it was to collaborate with the writer and how they've been doing for two decades, and now it turns out that as zealously as Discovery be boss and HBO's John Rowling, no one has ever defended anyone by saying Joan was very much involved in the process of creating the future of the show. She was very involved in the process of choosing the writer and director, and I have expect that will have opinions on the casting, said HBO CEO Casey Owens. Also, Discovery has publicly confirmed that despite the negative reaction to her involvement, the franchise creator remains a welcome member of the production team for the upcoming of the series. The company has officially announced that they have been working with J.K. Rowling and in the Harry Potter business for over 20 years, and then noted that with regard to the HBO series from HBO, her contribution is unappreciated. We are proud in telling the Harry Potter story again. Potter books that speak to the power of friendship, determination, and acceptance said. In the studio, John Rowling has the right to express her personal views. We'll continue to focus on developing a new series that will benefit from her involvement. Well, you know what I mean. Get it? Reshoeing the 1000th level and watching it now is certainly more than funny. How just a little while ago, they almost kicked Joan to the curb, and now they're singing her praises and kissing her all over the place. That's how big the movie and TV business, as they say. Nothing personal, just money. Let's see if the WB will get the expected result, or their effective management will lead to the rah-rah. Our favorite childhood story. What do you thoughts on this matter? By all means, write your thoughts in the comments as well. Be sure to subscribe to our channel if you haven't already, and of course, give us a like under the video. Thank you all who was with us, and bye-bye.